Hey, this is Benjamin Nelson, your Season 7 WSSR Cup champion. I'd like to give a thanks to Roasted Gems Coffee, Trophy Smack, all the admins at WSSR, Snowy Desert Racing, everybody that tunes in to the Freaky Fast broadcast every week, including my family and friends, co-workers as well. And I am so honored to be able to hoist this beautiful trophy. I've never been more proud to be a champion.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night to give you the coverage of the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Tonight, the drivers get prepared to tackle the 2-mile monster of Michigan International Speedway. What makes tonight a little bit special, though, we're throwing it back to Legacy, Michigan, 2009 configuration of this track. It's a lot bumpier. It's going to be hot and slick out there on the course. We're excited to give you race number 8 of the season for Season 8. Once again, thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is going to be Justin Malarkey. Do want to let you know we have had some tech issues here popping up, so if we have any issues, we hope to fix them as fast as possible, but please stay patient with us throughout this evening if we do find ourselves with any complications. But we're excited for all the racing, and after last week, gotta say, I think it's gonna be a good one here, Justin. We changed up the competition yellow. We've now removed it. It's no longer a thing for the rest of the season. And last week proved, hey, maybe it's a good thing. With caution-free at Las Vegas, and a newcomer found themselves on top of the board.
Yes, last week we saw a great race going caution-free. Tonight might see the same thing. We know that there is not going to be that competition caution that you mentioned, so these drivers are going to potentially have to change their strategy around, start this race maybe a little cautious, not push as hard, knowing that they're not going to have that mandatory caution to get in there and change tires. They're going to have to try and save and not let these tires get chewed apart on this old bumpy surface that you mentioned, Sam.
It's going to be a fun one for these drivers as qualifying is slowly coming to a conclusion. As we head down to trackside, let's see where some of these drivers have been finishing out in qualifying. Currently, top of the board is going to be that of the 28 of Brian P. Johnson, as the 7 machine of Douglas Newbiggin wasn't able to qualify last week after a penalty. He's going to be in the middle of the pack. Here's some other drivers that are trying to find some extra speed on the final lap. It's going to be Brian McCann. Got 12 seconds, make it 10 to try to cross the line on his last lap, but it's looking like it's going to be very close. I don't think we're going to be seeing McCann get to the line in time. With 2 seconds left, he's not going to be there, and just about 400 feet too shy. McCann's going to have to stick with a 5th place qualifying run for himself. But Justin, just like that, qualifying is out of the way, and drivers now going to be having a 5-minute warm-up time to get themselves situated before we get ourselves prepared for 100 laps here tonight. Talked about our tech issues. Again, we are trying to get them fixed right now, but we hope to be having the camera shots of the racing here very shortly. But Justin, talking about the race car, you were on track doing a little bit of practice, getting prepared for this race. What do you feel like these drivers most difficult are going to be dealing with here this evening?
All right, so we're going to let the viewers know tonight, when I was out there, what I was feeling in the car is the bumps you mentioned. You can feel it through the steering wheel, through the pedals. You can feel all those little seams out there. Each layer of the pavement, you can see the black seams in these tracks. Getting on those seams, Sam, it seems to get the car unsettled a little bit, to the point where you're starting to get into the gas, and all of a sudden the car starts to break loose, and you have a choice to back out, which hurts your momentum down the straightaway, or to stay in it and hopefully steer through it. And before you know it, you can't keep steering through it, because you might overcorrect once and you get up into the wall, and then you're going to have some damage. And we know what happens when damage happens, especially at these big two-mile tracks.
You don't want to have any type of aero damage at all. It could be very much hindering you on these very long straightaways. 2 miles is the distance for this whole entire course that they're going to be trying to tackle. That is going to be a long race for these drivers, and as well going to be having fun with their kind of a sister track of Auto Club for this field, as we've got ourselves 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in warm-up time as qualifying is done. Same for practice. Do want to see if we can set it down to look at our driver standings here this evening, because the driver standings looking a little bit more interesting coming into tonight's race. We got some of our biggest movers after last week's race, moving up from 15th up to 10th. Cedric Hunter and John Forbes from 21st position up to the bubble line in 16th place. Those are your 2 biggest movers so far, both up 5 spots. Biggest loser, Edward Sherwood Jr. from 13th in points down to 21st. Missed last week's race. That is a massive loss in points, Justin, these drivers are going to be dealing with, but still top of the board. It's Brian P. Johnson. Since the first race, he's not letting go of that top spot.
Yeah, Brian's been consistent all season. We've seen strength from him all year. There's other drivers out there, though, waiting to get any chance they can to get around him. You mentioned some drivers, unfortunately, having to miss. That happens throughout the season. As much as we all love racing, sometimes work happens, family events happen, vacations happen. Unfortunately, not all drivers can make it to all the races, but we know they're going to try and get out there, get into the top 16, make it to the playoffs, which are coming up fast. We're a couple races away before you know it. We're going to be calling a regular season champion, and we're going to be starting at round 1.
Yeah, round 1, going to be a good one, but we still have, counting tonight, 5 more races to go, and one driver that's kind of in a weird bubble spot, and that's the newcomer winner from last week, Bryson Hicksenbaugh. His journey, get inside of the top 25 in points, and currently he's all the way down in 42nd position in points, 82 points out from getting into that cut line where his win will automatically push the 63 machine into the playoffs. But before we get there, we've got ourselves a journey to get to as we take a look at our schedule the drivers have for us tonight. They're heading to Legacy, Michigan, Pocono next week, but that 10th race on the schedule, Martinsville, has been removed. After kind of the struggles that this field has had at short tracks, they decided, you know what, let's just get Martinsville out of the schedule. Instead, we'll put a bigger track in, and we're going to be seeing Michigan's sister track of Auto Club going to be taking over that 10th race of the season before the drivers for the 11th race go to Nashville, and the last race of the regular season at Atlanta Super Speedway. Going to be a good one before we get ourselves into the playoffs with the first round at Darlington and Legacy Phoenix. Going to be some good races, Justin, that these drivers have with just 5 races left in the regular season.
Yeah, we got a nice bunch of tracks coming up. You mentioned Auto Club being a sister track to Michigan, especially with it being Legacy Michigan. I think they're very similar with the worn pavements, really wide tracks. Michigan's got this banking, Auto Club has the banking. So I think if we see some people here tonight that show strength, we're going to see that also at Auto Club, so that could bode well for people trying to make up points. But Pocono, that's going to be really fun in these cars with the long straightaways and then the flat corners. But Atlanta Super Speedway, that could be a race where you get into there, Sam, and if you're not in the top 16, how do you approach that race? Or if you don't have the win, that could be a race where it could be like Daytona or Talladega, where you're not sure what's going to happen. There could be big wrecks, could be catastrophic accidents that knock people out. So getting to that race is going to be really key for people, especially if they want to try and get into the top 16.
Yeah, and just like what Edward Sherwood Jr. kind of proved with last week, missing last week, losing over 8 positions, same thing could happen even if you're racing, if you finish in last, because each race we've had 30-plus drivers show up, and tonight we're going to have a similar stat as well of 33 drivers registering for tonight's race. We'll see if 33 take the green or not, as we are done with practice. We're done with qualifying. Warm-up time is out of the way, and the drivers are getting ready to grid up for tonight's race at Michigan as they try to tackle the 2009 configuration of this track. It's going to be bumpy, it's going to be hectic, but they are ready to see who's going to top the board. As a huge shout out to our major sponsors helping out here this season. Your major one for qualifying, it's Colley's Mom. Colley's Mom always hoping to see the one machine top of the board. Not going to happen here tonight. Instead, it's our points leader of Brian P. Johnson going to be at the top of the board with Johnny Brugg in second. John Forbes going to be taking that third spot. Ollie Fonseca in fourth. Ryan McCann not able to get that last lap in, but still good enough for 5th place. Bryson Hicksenbach, debut race last week, got the 63 in the victory lane. Can he go 2 for 2? We're going to find out here tonight. Last season champion of Benjamin Nelson in 7th. Ken Campbell in 8th. Going to see Nick Crawford in 9th and finishing out our top 10. Drivers been the fastest at warm-up and practice. We'll see if we can carry that over into the race 10. It's going to be the 18 of James Heater.
Going in 11th, we talked to him last week, Brian Kelly. Larry Yingling right alongside him. We know they both have speed. 13th, Brandon Colley. We always got to give the big shout out to Brandon's mom. A nice 13th. Hopefully it's the lucky number 13 tonight for him. 14th, Kyle Heath. 15th, Cedric Hunter. 16th, Anthony Gaudio. 17th, Douglas Newbigging. 18th, Isaiah Sutherland. 19th and 20th, going to be Danny Cochran and Shane Therian.
Then going to be seen in 21st place. It's Christopher Norris in the 38th. Zach Hall all the way down in 22nd position. Chris Stitz in 23rd. Tyler Dangler in 24th. Dakota Moniz in 25th. 26th is 52 of Cody Reed. Ben Keeney in 27th. Edward Sherwood Jr. back out on track for the 71 in 28th spot. Brad Delp in 29th. Cameron Sarn in 30th. Finishing out our last couple of positions. And this 31st position is Brian Noel. Joshua Corner. James Kaufman going to finish out our 33 drivers here tonight. Ready for racing action for 100 laps. Again, no stage caution or competition caution will be thrown this evening as competition yellows have been removed for the rest of the season. No fast repairs. Drivers are given 5 extra sets of tires and pit road to work with. The fuel window around 31 to 33 laps, so we could be seeing drivers trying to make the fuel stint a 2-stop here tonight. Will they have to be forced into a 3-stop? Let's find out here very shortly as the drivers are stacked 2 by 2 into turns 3 and 4. It's time for us to get to Green Flag Racing. Thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting as the drivers for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series Race 8 at Legacy, Michigan is underway as they enter the restart zone. Brian B. Johnson, Johnny Brugg, gray launches for themselves. Rest of the field going to be stacked up a little on top of one another. There we go, Justin, as they roar down into turn number 1.
Roar down into turn 1, still a little 2x2 up front. These drivers will probably want to get single file, though. We know we don't have that competition caution, so they're not going to want to race too hard. But right now, Johnny Brugg looks like he's going to get out of the lead to maybe down here on the back straightaway. As Brian Johnson still going to try and side draft going into turn 3.
Brian Johnson looking good at the start of the race, but that outside lane already showing the power that you have to get back into the throttle sooner and the confidence to just get up to speed and carry this momentum onto the straightaways. As Brugg, a little bit of a slip up, he's going to give up the momentum, and lap number 1 going to be close, but it goes to Brian P. Johnson at the line, 0.02 of a second. And the lap lead goes to our points leader currently. Rest of the field, they're still trying to scatter where they want to go. It's a lot of 2x2 up front, but they're scattering of 3x3 and almost 4x4 on that first lap as the rest of the field finally gets cycled into line. Still up front, it's side by side for the lead.
Still up front, Brian Johnson doesn't want to give it up to Johnny Brugg, but Johnny Brugg trying to get that point. He wants to close that gap on our points leader, Brian Johnson. But getting that point led, that's so important. Just being able to start on the pole, get that one bonus point. And you never know at the end of the season where it's going to help you, and you just look back and you're like, that's what I needed, that 1 point. But right now, we're just seeing these guys starting to settle in a little bit. We see last week's winner right there, getting ready to start cruising, trying to get a little gap between each other. But Brian McCann trying to make a move under the 74 coming out of turn 2 here. And that's what we talked about. We see those seams in the track. As these tires wear out, we're going to see drivers get a little loose, get a little tight going over those corners, and they're just going to have to adjust to it throughout this race.
Still seeing side by side Nick Crawford and Brian McCann, and those seams, yeah, like you said, big things to watch out for. Very easy to see through the corners, and as well on the straightaways. Kind of your designated lane to stay into once you have some cross over off the exit or entering the corner. Kind of be careful on those ways in the corner. As again, this is a long race, but you can find yourself thinking about pit road. The standpoint, Justin, with the fact that pit road and the fuel window is so close, well, never mind, throw it out the window. First caution is out, and it's Ben Keeney going to be involved, and Brad Delph bringing out their first caution through 1 and 2. Those two drivers were not able to enter turn 1 cleanly, and our first caution of the day comes out on lap 4, and this could definitely turn this race now into a for sure 2-stop race from here.
Yeah, I think we might see drivers go in and definitely get fuel. Not sure if we'll see tire changes, but people are going to attempt. We do have enough sets that they're going to be able to bolt them on. So we're going to get to the replay right here. Looks like we're going into turn 1, and it looks like maybe Brad's just getting in the corner right there. Yeah, it looks like the guy checks up just a little bit, and Brad unfortunately just didn't have anywhere to go. Just a little bit of difference in timing there. Brad got back to the gas maybe about a couple feet sooner than he was anticipating the car in front of him getting back.
Yeah, just small little adjustments. Those are the kind of the kinks that we saw a lot in the beginning of the season. Just two drivers, two different ways they want to attack the corner and running over one another. Just bad zap and both go around. Not a lot of damage collected, just the initial spin. I think the most damage is to the tires, but expecting drivers that were caught up in that spin coming to pit road, top off on fuel, maybe take a fresh set of rubber, and you're on your way. Not too bad hurt. Both those drivers were battling for positions in that of 30th and 31st place. So not a lot of time going to be lost on track, but it will allow drivers up front. Do they make the decision to come out of pit road and top off on fuel, take tires? I mean, they have 5 sets in pit road to work with. You might as well take a chance here early on.
It looks like some guys are starting to peel off. I saw the 74, Nick Crawford peeling off, and a couple other guys looked like the 18, who you mentioned had some really good speed in practice. He also peeled off. Just be interesting to see if these guys do use a set of tires here this early. If this race does stay green, using that set now will definitely give you a good advantage. Regardless, though, filling up the fuel, it can definitely save you later, and if it's able to eliminate a pit stop, that could be a significant gain in the long run.
Also, drivers might be thinking, hey, we got this caution that came out so early. If we clutch our fuel, we try to save as much as we can while we're under pacing, this might as well allow us still to stay in that window of a 2-stop. They just needed to save about 2 laps of fuel in the combination of these next 2 stops, and this really helps out on that window that these drivers are looking for. Others deciding just to go with fuel only while coming into pit road. One driver, though, taking the risk, taking the gamble, Nick Crawford, the only driver that decided to come into pit road just that was not involved in that last wreck, to take tires. So we'll see how the 74 is going to cruise through this field with just 3 laps of green flag racing under all these drivers' belt, and going to give us a good window, and I think to the rest of the field, how much is tire wear going to be a big factor here tonight?
Yeah, I think the tires are obviously always important. The problem is not so many cars pitting that he gave up the track position. 3 laps of tires, but by the time you pass 15 cars, are you burning them up? That's going to be the big question that we're going to find out when we get back to green here. But we know Nick Crawford could do it. He was the winner at Texas. We know he can do it today too.
Who can get it done? As the drivers wait for the 1 to go marker, that's when the pace car lights turn off. That's an indication to the drivers into us. Hey, we are going this time by, and also letting the drivers know it's time to stack up, get ready to go 2 by 2. as those lights are off. Thank you again for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. A huge shout out to our major sponsors that help out with the WSSR. Talked about Collie's mom being the qualifying sponsor for the field here at WSSR. She's been doing it for the last couple of seasons. It's a huge pleasure to have someone come out and help out this group of drivers at the WSSR, and as well, the title sponsor, Roasted Gems Coffee. Thank you so much to Roasted Gems for joining with us here at WSSR. They've got such a wide range. If you're looking for coffee blends to try out, might as well head on over to roastedgems.com and remember to use the promo code WSSR for 5% off on checkoff. And Trophy Smack. Remember to go head on over to trophysmack.com if you're looking to be the envy of your competition. Well, check out their wide range of different trophies that you can grab for yourself, from championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. Go to trophysmack.com and remember to use promo code WSSR Smack. That's WSSR Smack at checkout. Thank you so much, everyone who has helped out with the WSSR Cup Series throughout all the seasons and years. As the field gets prepared to go back to green flag racing, it's going to be Brian P. Johnson, Johnny Brugg, John Forbes, Ollie Fonseca give you your top 4, and going to see Bryson Hixenbach going to be your top 5. So here we go. Time to get rolling. As the pace car pulls into pit road, it's time for some green flag racing at Legacy, Michigan. And Brian P. Johnson not waiting just at all. Already gone by over 3 car lengths, heading down into turn number 1.
And getting that jump wants to go on these leaders. Wow, 2-3 car length lead going into turn 1. Not even going to give him a chance to get under them. He wants to lead this lap, take control of this race. We got lap 8. It's early, but he doesn't want to deal with anyone being around him, it seems, Sam, as he hammers down back straight away. Now it puts Johnny Brugg side by side with John Forbes, who's actually going to maybe get second here going into turn 3.
And who else could be aggressive to try to go push forward on this run? I mean, Johnny Brugg just went from battling side by side for the lead, now trying to hold on for dear life for second place, while other drivers poking their nose, figuring out where to go. The draft already showing its power on the straightaways. Ollie Fonseca in that purple 24 machine from the Laird Productions, trying to figure out where to place himself. Does go 3 wide, stay in the middle, and then you see the lime green 63. That's Bryson Hixenbach. Better get used to that driver's name after last week's performance. This 63 could be a major threat once the playoffs come around, if he can make the playoffs.
Bryson last week, he showed us patience. He just kept moving up through the field, so we know he has the speed. One thing we want to talk to the viewers about so that they know as this race goes on, we talked about the draft. When everyone's up top on these straightaways, you have 9-10 cars single file. You got one guy down on the bottom. It primarily happens on the back straightaway where you really see it. Everyone's punching a hole in the air. If you're in a car on the inside, you don't have any of that help. You could really start to lose 2 or 3 spots maybe on the straightaway, and then you've got to fight harder in the corner to try and get those positions back. But the problem is you're always stuck on the bottom if those cars start training up on top. And that's something we're going to keep an eye on. We want to just make sure the viewers are aware of how that draft works. So we're going to be talking about that throughout the night.
Throughout the night, draft, tire wears. I think those are the big 2 factors to watch on it. And after just those first couple of laps, we had lap 4, brought out our first caution of the day. How many drivers were being very patient and lenient on those tires? And now, because they know, hey, we got that caution, we don't really have to worry about saving fuel as aggressively on this run. Just thinking about whipping it up, going a little bit faster, and I think there's one driver that's on the mind. That is moving up to 7th. 7 machine of Douglas Newbegin is on a tear. One of the biggest movers so far here tonight, up 9 spots. Was 10 when he was ahead of the 3 of Ryan Kelly, but last week had to start at the end of the line, moved up, finishing the top 10. Douglas Newbegin got a good qualifying run in 17th, and he says, I'm going to use this position and try to go for a win or a top 5 finish here tonight.
Yeah, great observation on Douglas Newbegin. He's a driver last week, like you mentioned, had to start in the back, caution-free, drove it up to finish in the top 10. That's something we're so excited tonight to watch because now he's up there already. He had the decent qualifying effort, didn't have to deal with the penalty, and he put on a show last week for us doing all that. And I think we talked to him last week, we hyped him up, and he knows he's on a mission tonight. He's excited as we see right here these great views on what he's going to do. 192, 193, 94, 96, 99, almost 200 miles an hour we got going down into turn 3. 10 laps, 12 laps into this race, Sam. So these tires are still giving tremendous grip to these drivers. As you see, he might be 3 wide right now here on the bottom. So he's not going to have too much drafting help until these cars start to come down right here. He's going to pick up some of that draft, get a little bit of that toe, but he's got not the preferred angle getting into turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was 3 wide off the exit of the corner, and Douglas Newbigin ripping the yellow line, the lowest anyone is going, and it is working currently, but how much is this going to be hurting the 7 and the repercussions later on in the race? Going to be a longer run. Is the pain that he's being rewarded now going to be worth it as the 7 continues to work its way forward, cracking into the top 5, and our biggest mover so far is this 7 machine. Get a good look looking back to the turtle juice of Bryson Hickson Bond and the 3 behind. Those 3 drivers trying to stay working, utilizing the draft, but you got to be careful. Don't want to be giving anyone too many bump drafts on the straightaway. It's a slight bend in the corner. It could be hurting you as, oh boy, gets too loose and too low as the 7 holds on. What a save by Newbigin.
What a save, but we're seeing right here how much momentum. We talked about it early in the broadcast, having to lift. That lift just cost him 8, 9, 10, 11 positions. He's just going to continue to drop it. Now he's going to be able to get a chance to regain, but he's stuck here in the middle. Anthony Gaudio underneath him. The momentum should start to come back now. He's going to be able to pull up here in the draft, be on the outside. But heating those tires up like that, Sam, that just knocks off so many laps of wear on them, and you just don't know what that's going to hurt long run, especially if you stay green here. It's just something that is going to be really hard to come back just from that little hiccup there, especially putting him back where he's losing 8, 9 spots like we just mentioned.
And just in a blink of an eye, Douglas Newbigin went from the biggest mover of the race right back to where he started during the race. Qualified in 17th, falls back to 15th. Man, that is just a tough spot for the 7 to be running as he continues to stay low, risking to get on the apron. And I think that might have been the big thing. He just glanced the apron and now going to be trying to continue on his way forward as they were just for a quick moment a stacked 4 wide. Single out one another where they could beat Nick Crawford, though, 74 on a different mission. Decided to take tires under our last caution back on lap 5. And now the 74 up to 17th. He's moved up 7 spots, being patient with that extra rubber that the 74 is working with.
Being patient with that extra rubber. Going to try and get around the 7 who just scraped off a little bit of that rubber, getting below the seam the lap before. But Nick Crawford, we're going to keep an eye on him. Like you mentioned, up 7 positions. Right now, just taking his time, getting through these cars. If he can get around these, there's 4 cars in front of him. If he's able to get around them, as we see the camera pan out, and there's 6, and he gets sideways. Little loose there, we talked about it. Just hitting those seams, trying to gas up on that, even with the extra laps on the tires. There with the extra fresh rubber, still got loose on him, Sam.
I mean, now we're 11 laps in, and if you haven't been protecting your tires for Nick Crawford, you are in the danger zone, as well as the battling up front starting to heat up. That of Johnny Brugg now having the nose ahead for a quick moment over Brian P. Johnson. These 2 have been duking it out back and forth between one another. John Forbes has now got in the mix, and who else could it be but it's Benjamin Nelson, the 79. Just continues to fight forward and trying to go for another win this season is Benjamin Nelson, and a track that really holds the strengths of the 79 machine. It's patience, it's quickness, and it's staying smooth as 79 continues to try to figure out how to place himself to go forward. But Johnny Brugg, who was one of the few drivers this season that missed out on a race, was sick earlier on in the season. He's now having a handful as these drivers up front are on 18-lap-old tires compared to Nick Crawford, who pitted that of 6 laps ago.
You mentioned the drivers just getting, you could see their hands inside the wheels, even from this view. You could see them just tugging on it, coming out of the corner, trying to keep it going. You can see Johnny Brugg, Benjamin Nelson. This track's just putting on a really great show. This is what we love watching. These drivers are battling right now. Johnny, he had a chance to take the lead, and now he's stuck here in the middle. He might lose a couple spots. But Ryan Kelly, he's a driver just really slowly moving up to the field, not making too much noise other than just moving forward. He's not overdriving the car. We're not talking about him getting loose or anything. He's just waiting, trying to get around these 2 guys and then trying to make a move on Brian Johnson. I think he's going to be doing it here in a couple laps when he gets around them.
Ryan Kelly, I would say he's an under-the-radar driver for most of the race and then starts to attack in the middle to end of the race cycle. But right now, these drivers are so close to one another. One mistake could be taking 1, if not 2 drivers around. And with the slight wiggles we can see off the exit of the corner, these drivers are really risking it all and putting their own fates in each other's hands. As Brian P. Johnson, he's loving the fact that the battling's going on for second because he can just ride comfortably, save his tires a little bit more. As these 4 drivers, this is second back to 5th, will not give up with one another.
They will not. They're staying 2 by 2. They're putting on a great show right here for the viewers. as Benjamin Nelson decides he wants to get up in that outside line, maybe not be down on the bottom anymore, and it's going to allow Brian McCann to get underneath him, but it looks like Nelson's going to be able to, as they get close, the 879, we're getting really close out of that corner, and the 3 gets a little sideways in front of us, and look who's coming behind the newcomer, just taking his time, watching these guys battle. He's starting to suck up into that draft, and he's getting closer and closer, running 7th right now. We're going to be keeping an eye on him throughout the night, and Cedric Hunter right behind him.
I mean, we're starting to see that yo-yo effect. The drivers that pulled away in that most recent restart, starting to fall back to the clutches of drivers that were being a little bit more patient, willing to give up the time, as we are now about 13 to 15 laps away from seeing green flag pit stops if we stay green. But this closing battle up front, they just will not relent on the aggressive pushes, going back and forth, and it's the exit of 4 that we really have been seeing some of the major slides and big swiggles as Benjamin Nelson keeps it off the wall. But how much is that going to be hurting him as Brian McCann ducks high, goes low, and here becomes last week's winner. It's going to be Bryson Hicksonbot to the inside.
Yeah, we're now seeing 22 laps into this run what drivers are dealing with, trying to get out of these corners. They want to get back to the gas, to use all this horsepower to get down these straightaways, but the problem is these tires just don't want to do it on this old bumpy surface. The car unloads itself and it just gets a little free, and before you know it, you're pointed towards the infield, and that's not a good feeling. We saw some of these drivers have to lift even more than what Benjamin Nelson had to, and we saw before when Nick Crawford lost a couple positions, Douglas Newbigging, as I mentioned that, I see him on the inside there starting to make up that ground.
Yeah, I mean, Douglas Newbigging, that was the next driver I was going to bring up. He is now just inside of the top 10. He has recovered well, getting 5 positions back after his big slide, and now going to be up to 9th place, but also another driver that's been on the move, quietly moving forward. I think before Ryan Kelly joined with WSSR, you can say the quiet driver was Cedric Hunter in that pink colored kit machine. Tonight, he's on the slow move, up 9 positions from where he qualified. 13, started back in 15th position, now up to 6th, and is on the move, kind of staying in the tire tracks of Bryson Hicksonbot. These 2 drivers have been slowly marching forward together.
I'm excited about Cedric Hunter tonight. I know last week, I think he was a driver that had the same amount of speed as leaders and eventual winner. I think he just, in the beginning of the race, was expecting some of those cautions, maybe got a little bit behind, but all race he stayed right there with everyone. He just was a little bit behind from that first stop. But tonight, he's staying right there with them, and he's going to be somewhere we're going to have to keep an eye out. And we have to mention back there in 26, Zachary Hall. He's won a race. He's running 26. Last week, he was running up front the entire race. We at one point thought maybe he was going to even win this race. I think he's going to get back up there tonight still, Sam. I think he's taking his time right now. Maybe didn't have the qualifying effort, but I know he's going to get up there.
Yeah, there's a few shocking drivers that are outside of the top 20 that I thought maybe would be better off up front battling here tonight. I mean, you can see it on the screen. You got Christopher Norris, James Scooter, who was fastest during the warm-ups and during practice, back here in 27th. And then you move up just slightly ahead of them. You've also had Edward Sherwood Jr., who was a major threat throughout this season before he missed out on last week's race. Shane Terrian, who won at New Hampshire and has been a top contender in the points in 23rd. Cameron Sargent, who's been up and down whenever he's out on track. He's in 20th and is actually our second biggest mover. Started in 30th, up to 20th, so up 10 spots. But this is so weird to see some of these drivers that are back here. And as well, but as I talk about Edward Sherwood Jr., there's the 71. Big slide and huge save as we keep together 26 laps in the book. 71, able to take a deep breath and try to recycle forward after losing 3 spots. But was going to talk about Tyler Dangler, 19, came into tonight, was kind of excited for tonight's race. Heard over practice throughout this week, felt like he had a strong enough car to go for maybe one of his best finishes of the season. Unfortunately, not able to do so, as the 19 has called it a night so far here this evening. As drivers in the back trying to hold on. The drivers up front doing the same. Just about to be where he was before the big slide. 6th place position is the 7 of Douglas Newbigging, closing in on our front runners.
And Douglas Newbigging proving us wrong that slide is not worrying him like it worried us at the time when it happened. He's driving back up through the field. He's right back down on that line. He's not worried. He just figured out what he needs to do different. Is he's going to pull alongside Johnny Brugg, who was up there not too long ago battling for a chance to lead this race, and now Douglas Newbigging looking to crack the top 5 as Cedric Hunter, though, is the driver who got around them, moving up to 4th place, has it under a second. we're seeing drivers coming and going. We just saw Benjamin Nelson up there, who we thought was maybe going to take the lead, and we saw a couple slides out of him as we see Brian McCann slide right underneath him as Benjamin Nelson started sliding up higher. Just drivers are starting to really change right now what's happening. We're just seeing drivers have to change their setups and their driving styles. This track is just really starting to wear these tires out. We're coming up on lap 30. Pit stops are going to be happening soon. Drivers are going to really want those fresh rubbers.
Yeah, expecting, because we had the caution and we'll drive some drivers came into pit road that topped off on fuel. Others, majority of the field, did not come to pit road. I think it's going to be around lap 34 to 35. Might be our window. We're going to be seeing drivers coming into pit road to get their stops done. If we see anyone coming to pit road before lap 34, that is going to be a heavy question mark on how the rest of the race is going to go for that driver if we stay green, because that is a good sign. We're not going to be able to make it on a two-stop strategy for the rest of this race. You're going to have to make an audible, be a lot more aggressive on their pit stops.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see Nick Crawford go as far as he can, because he did choose to go in early. Yeah, he has the tires, he has the fuel. We know what he did at Texas, so I think he's going to be using that strategy tonight. As we see right here, we're going to be showing the Nutter Butter, number 1, Brandon Cawley, going down his back straightaway, still hitting really high speeds up there in the 195, 196 range, sending it down into turn 3, having a nice smooth race, just looking to stay out of trouble. We know sometimes some of those accidents, unfortunately, caught up in front of him and had no place to go, but tonight, nice and smooth.
Nice and smooth, and also starting to see nicely moving forward is Zach Hall and Shane Terry to get the work. That's one, trying to get by the 77 of Brian Noel. Brian Noel up 9 spots, qualified here tonight. Back in 31st position, starting to be passed by some drivers, but hey, for Brian Noel, not the best qualifying runs for the 77 machine. I believe he decided not to even qualify here tonight. No, just had a bad qualifying run. Was the 77, and here tonight, I think for some drivers, starting in the back, Michigan is not, for some, their favorite course in the world. Can be kind of difficult at times, and being on the legacy course, you never know what you're going to see, as there's almost contact between the 9 and the 77. Noel stays high, Terrian holds straight, and Christopher Norris holds his breath for a quick moment as he pokes the nose underneath that Brian Noel.
Yeah, I saw those two get a little sideways, and right in front of him, Zachary Hall also coming out of that corner, just had a little wiggle, just showing how hard these cars are drive. There's really no place on this track that you could just kind of relax, maybe on the back straightaway, but that front straightaway is bumpy and has got a little bit of turn on it. And one thing I want to mention next time when we get here past the start-finish line, Sam, with this being a 2009, that safer barrier, the wall, drivers are trying to get as high as they can going into turn 1, and all of a sudden that safer barrier comes, and you can see how close they're getting, and they lose that extra 1.5 feet. We're going to see it right here, and see how the safer barrier disappears, and then coming down here in turn 1, you're going to see it reappear. And some of these drivers are getting so close up there that eventually someone's going to make the mistake. Right there, we're seeing how close they get, and then that safer wall comes right out, and it juts right out that if someone hits it, they're going to get damaged.
Yeah, and some drivers got to be careful. They almost come into one another, and it was tough for Christopher Norris and Brian Noel. There was some slight contact a few laps ago as they went into turn number 1. Different strategy calls. Talked about, hey, some drivers, they needed to hit at least lap 34 if they wanted to feel comfortable turning this race into a two-stop from here on out. Well, Ollie Fonseca, Anthony Gaudio not able to hit that number, only the lap 32. So their race might still have 2 more extra stops, at least 1 extra stop over the rest of the field that they're going to have to work with, as Nick Crawford going to be trying to get on by the 14 of Isaiah Sutherland. That's for 10th place, as the 74 slowly chipping away, as well as the pass for the lead. Ryan Kelly takes that lead spot, but for how long? Because we're now starting to see Douglas Newbigging, Cedric Hunter, and a pack of new wolves now up front trying to take that lead spot.
You mentioned Nick Crawford in 10th, only 1.5 seconds back. Look how close this field is. This looks like it's the start of the race, Sam, and these drivers are going everywhere. Right now, Douglas Newbigging's going to try and get 2 of them going into turn 1. He's going to take it down to the bottom. He's been comfortable all day down there on that white line, getting a grip. Look at this. He's just able to drive it down there. Not sure if he's going to be able to hold off Cedric Hunter, though. It looks like Hunter's going to be able to prevail on the outside, and right now the problem is these guys are all now going to be on the outside in that draft, and he might not have the help.
And as well, mixed in between is the 24 and the 29. Ollie Fonseca and that Lariat Productions 24 has already come into pit road. He is mixed and mingled with old tires. That closing rate going to be massive for the 29 and the 24s. They're trying to figure out how to place themselves to get by this group, but it's through the corners that they really have that extra speed. The driver's got to be careful. Ryan McCann pulls it into pit road as Ollie, as well as the 29 of Gaudio, just not sure where the safest position is to hopefully not influence this lead pack. Ollie Fonseca finds an opening, and the 24 is gone, just like that.
Wow, you're seeing the difference in tires. That just looked like he had an extra 400 horsepower, just was able to turn and go. He's probably going to be our leader, being the first one to take tires. We're going to have to see how long he's going to be able to hold these guys off once they do pit.
Watch out. Drivers need to come into pit road and pit in a big scare for Brian P. Johnson and the rest of the field as Anthony Gaudio almost running into drivers. They cleanly enter their pit entry, but there was almost a chance of seeing our leader getting ran over. And for some, this is the last point that they can come into pit road because they've been out there for so long. Some of these drivers would have ran out of fuel if they stayed out for an extra lap.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure they got into their window, and it's still going to be close because we did have those 3 or 4 caution laps. So drivers only getting to 36. Not sure if they're going to be able to get to the magic window for that next stop. It's going to be really interesting if you're pushing versus trying to save, fletch into the corner, utilize the draft. As we see these guys out here, Douglas Newbigging and Bryson Hixenbaugh, able to run an additional lap, which is really going to benefit them as they get ready to pit right now. So we're on board right now with Douglas Newbigging. A little wiggle there, getting it slowed down, getting that speed. You do not want a speeding penalty here, Sam.
You do not. And also joining with them, going to be seeing the 74 of Nick Crawford, not staying out for any longer than he has to into pit road. I'm wanting to at least stay with the lead drivers. I think that's a smart call by the 74. Shane Hart leading the group of drivers that decided to come into pit road and top off on fuel under our first caution. As the 9, 1, 38.77, as well as the 18 James Heater, Edward Schubert Jr. in the 71, James Kaufman and Joshua Corner all still need to hit pit road as the rest of the field feeling confident on this decision making of staying out as long as they did. Again, the window they were looking for was at least to pit after lap 34, and you could turn this race into just one more stop after this. Now the rest of the field, their magic number that they have to get by is lap 68. 68 is that number. Can they hit it, though?
It's going to be really close for some of these drivers that pitted early. I did see Brandon Colley decide to pull off that lap at 37, feeling confident that he's going to be able to make it on one more stop without having to do that additional stop. But these drivers that are still out there now, feeling super confident that they're going to be able to drive aggressive the whole race, not have to worry about saving. If this race stays green, we could see our winners come from these drivers right here that are in the top 5.
Right on board, 71. No contact over the wall, over the radio. That we're going to see the 71 pit back, go around the seat, go past pit entry. Still waiting on a total of 5 drivers that need to enter pit road before this pit cycle is officially done and dusted. But for those that already made their stops, leading that pack, it's Brian McCann in the 8 machine, Ryan Kelly in 9th, and then Brian P. Johnson, as they're going to be finding themselves around a total of 24 seconds off the leader. But they're all still pretty close to one another. I think the best battle of those that have already pitted going to be this one on screen of Brian P. Johnson, Ryan Kelly. This is what would be for second place once this pit cycle completes itself here in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, it's going to be, everyone will be pitting very shortly and the cycle will be completed. But are we starting to see this field now get spread out with the different pit strategies? And if the field gets more spread out, that's a really good chance that we could see this race stay green for these final 60 laps. And that could play right into our leader right now, Shane Therian, who has not pitted yet, besides under the first caution.
Yeah, Shane Therian still is yet to pit. The 9 making the choice to pit this go-around over the radio has made that decision, as well as a lot of the other drivers still need to come to pit road, that being our top 5. Shane Therian slowing down as you're right on board, trying to get into pit entry. Then again, these drivers are almost hitting 200 miles per hour entering turn 3. Off the exit, they're going about 168. They have to slow down to 55 miles per hour into pit entry. And it cleanly is for most of the field as they make their stop. One driver, though, sadly did get caught with a penalty. That was Ben Keeney with a pit stop the 98 had to make. And back out there on track. Is that machine? Is the rest of the field feeling good about this run so far? Shermer Jr. and Joshua Corner still stay out for an extra lap. This is impressive by the 71 and the 22, but they needed a caution to help them out on this strategy. So it looks like the 71 hitting this go-around. If he stays out for another lap, that's a dangerous call.
He's going to get in right now, get down here below 55 like you mentioned. The speed limit, do not want to get caught speeding. That can make your race definitely be 1 lap down, maybe 1.5 with the way these cars are going so fast out here, especially on these brand new tires. But Ed Scherer Jr. deciding to give up the lead, going to turn it over to Josh Corner now. And then, nope, Brian McCann, as Josh Corner does get into the pits right this turn, this coming out of this turn 2.
It's going to be Brian McCann, Brian B. Johnson, Ryan Kelly, John Force, Ollie Fonseca, your top 5 currently. The battle for 7th place is hot and heavy. There are a lot of drivers still on top of one another there, but as the field has completed their first pit cycle, I think for us of the booth, we're going to take our first commercial break of the night. Thank you so much for joining with us here on Freak Fast Broadcasting. You're watching Wednesday night coverage of the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series here at Legacy, Michigan. As the drivers are marching their way forward, one more stop expected before this race can take us to the green. We're excited to give you more coverage when we come back right after this.
Hey, this is Benjamin Nelson, your Season 7 WSSR Cup champion. I'd like to give a thanks to Roasted Gems Coffee, Trophy Smack, all the admins at WSSR, Snowy Desert Racing, everybody that tunes in to the Freaky Fast broadcast every week, including my family and friends, co-workers as well. And I am so honored to be able to hoist this beautiful trophy. I've never been more proud to be a champion.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at it, that's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes.
Oh,
I know, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck
Oh, they wrecked! They wrecked each other! The top 2 bounced into one another, just too much of side drifting off of, and they gotta be careful. Oh no, and the 4 demolishes into 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the WSSR Roast to Gems Cup Series. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Justin Malarkey and Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. We are 48 laps in of 100. We had one caution blip up around lap 4 after a little bit of miscommunication on the entry of turn 1 of seeing some drivers getting into one another. But since then, we've been clean and green. Currently, your leader is Brian McCann, hitting a lap sooner than Brian P. Johnson, and Ryan Kelly has gifted the 8 machine that lead position, but there was a little bit of mix-up before drivers entered pit road. It also helped out the gap that is currently a half a second difference. But certainly it's been a good one so far, Justin. I think having that competition yellow kind of taking away that pressure from the field helps, but also drivers are so split up right now. This is enabling them to stay green so far.
Yeah, we're seeing the field be a little bit more spread out than that first run. That first run, it was getting really exciting right before pit stops. We had the top 10 pretty much under 1.5 seconds, which was so neat to watch. But now 1.5 seconds is separating the top 4. So a little bit more spread out now, which is going to now start to let these drivers really start to think what did they need to do for the second run. Will we see some drivers maybe try and clutch it 1 or 2 times here, start saving some fuel, get into that window if they're not sure? It's going to really bring strategy back into this. This race has a green feel to it, Sam. It's starting to get a little bit spread out, and we're just now seeing these drivers have to make their moves on track. So they might only have 1 pit stop left to gain any track position.
Yeah, this is kind of the same feel that WSSR would give for the longest time. These first, I would say, 6 races of the season just felt so awkward and wasn't the type of racing style we were used to. We're used to a lot of green flag racing, and last week really showed, hey, the league is still there. We still have the core group, just had to clean up the aggression, and now we're seeing the product that we have on screen of the drivers really putting on a great show. Green flag racing and Douglas Newbigging has been putting on probably one of the greater shows of a lot of drivers here tonight. Was climbing up the field early, had a major slide and save that costed over 10 positions, was able to recover and get back into the top 5 before pit stops began, and now in 4th place. This has been a fabulous start to the first half of this Michigan race. And right behind him, we have the newcomer, last week's winner, 2nd race in WSSR, already has a win, that being Bryson Hicksonbaum, trying to go 2 for 2 to get it done here this evening. But some other drivers we haven't really talked about a lot tonight. 67 of Larry Yingling, just inside of our top 10. He has been having a very quiet night compared to what we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, having a quiet night, but doing what he needs to do, staying out of trouble. We know he has speed. We know he's going to get up there. It's going to come down to him hitting the right strategy, that right pit stop at the end, and he'll be right in the thick of things. I know we're going through the field right here, but I just wanted to retouch on Douglas Newbigging up there in 4th. He seems to be one of those drivers, Sam, that regardless, he's always down on the bottom in the corners. He's running that bottom line, and he's making it work. He has speed. He has it under a second now. When we came back from commercial, it was 1.3. It's under a second now. He's able to just run down to that bottom line, it seems, and he's making it work where other drivers are running lane up. Now we're going to see in turn 3. Hopefully he'll run down on the bottom.
Yeah, wanting to see if he continues with the trend. Yeah, I mean, just drives it in there so much more aggressively. Everyone else kind of going a lot more of a wide, sweeping corner, trying to run that 2nd to 3rd groove. Well, Douglas Newbigging, one of the few drivers that's willing to drive it down that yellow line. And, you know, that was kind of funny that we're seeing this because it was something we kind of were talking about, Justin, before we went live, of you were testing the car out. You were saying, hey, if a driver can master and figure out getting down low to that yellow line, they could find that sneaky speed. But you were saying it's difficult to even trust the car to go down there.
Yeah, it's definitely the shorter distance, but it's so difficult. I was struggling trying to get the car to the bottom, and then when I would get it to the bottom, you felt great, but all of a sudden coming out of the corner, because it's the bottom of the track, you're turning the car the most to get down there. You have it, your hand turned to the wheel, you get back to the gas, and it starts getting the car loose, and I was struggling getting out of the corner. But Douglas Newbigging's having no problem as he's running down these leaders now, Sam.
Right on the back bumper and showing the speed is the 7 machine, and of the drivers that are inside of our top 4, best tires, give it to the 7 machine. He was pitted on 18 laps ago. Then Ryan Kelly, Brian P. Johnson, they pitted 19 laps ago. And the driver with the oldest tires in our top 4 is Brian McCann in 3rd place, kind of struggling at this moment. But our top 4 closing in and about to be, and is now currently within a second, Bryson Hicksonbaum. Same tire strategy combo of Douglas Newbigging, closing in as well, kind of doing a similar strategy to what he did last week to win at Las Vegas. Stay out of trouble, stay with the lead pack, and slowly chip away each pit stop that came out.
And we have these great views right now. You're seeing these drivers. This is exactly what we're talking about, Sam and I, up here in the booth. These drivers are getting down into the corner and they're turning or seesawing on these wheels, but coming out of the corner, if you have to turn back to the right, that's as we see Douglas Newbigin get sideways. That's him having to turn back to the right to keep that car from spinning. When it starts turning to the left like that, you got to turn that wheel back to the right. But the problem is, Sam, if you overcorrect it, you know what happens. The front end goes right into the wall.
Yeah, the front tires, if you turn too far to the right and it just randomly catches grip, you can slingshot your way to that outside wall, and an innocent victim could be collected. But Douglas Newbigin's already had an incredible amount of saves here tonight. The question then has to loom, how many more saves are in that 7 machine? Because one mistake you could try to save, but multiple mistakes, they could get out of trouble very quickly. As Douglas Newbigin continues his way forward, as well as seeing Bryson Hickson-Bob leading the race. Ryan Kelly, the 3, finally able to take the lead confidently over Brian P. Johnson and trying to pull away up to 7/10 over second place now.
7/10. He likes what he sees in his rearview mirror. He's got 4 cars battling for real estate on track, but the problem is they're not able to clear each other. But Douglas Newbigin might be able to clear coming out of that corner. He does. You see the 8 get a little twitchy coming out of that corner as well. But Bryson Hickson-Bob, this race is starting to feel like last week. Is around halfway where we started mentioning his name. Who is this newcomer? What's he like? What's his strategy play? What's his driving style? We learned last week what it is, and it looks like tonight he's bringing that same exact game to this race tonight.
It just feels like a lot of what we saw last week is starting to translate here to this week, except for we're missing out on one driver. But Benjamin Nelson back in 11th place. The pit strategy call just has not been there for the 79. But the reason why, he stayed out the longest, going with the really oddball strategy compared to the rest of the field. And at this time, really is finding himself in a tough situation back here battling with Isaiah Sutherland and the lap car of Joshua Corner, who's got the fresher tires of these two that are battling for position. But kind of odd to see. And Isaiah Sutherland back here, the 14, is always a threat to watch out for a top 10 run, and you making the pass here on Nelson on the entry of turn 1.
Yeah, gets around Nelson. Nelson now drops another position. That is very interesting, Sam. Something he might maybe be trying to save a little bit of fuel, making sure he could get to that final run. But that's something we have to keep an eye on. That was a driver we saw not too long ago up there who we thought was maybe going to take the lead away, but right now, not able to.
As drivers behind this group, going to be in 13th position, it's Danny Cochran and Zach Hall, Cody Reed, drivers that are making some moves forward. We talked about how it was shocking to see Zach Hall all the way back in the later 20th position. Well, now currently running in 14th has been chipping away. Cody Reed, another driver that's chipping away forward. The main reason why Zach Hall was back there so deep, same for Shane Terrian, 2 drivers that decided to top off on fuel under our first caution flag back on lap 4. So they gave up the track position, now hoping to gain some of it back if possible if this race stays clean and green with their pit strategy calls. But it looks to be Benjamin Nelson still struggling in front of this group, and the 79, just an odd race to see for himself as Danny Cochran closes in quickly on our last season champion.
It is odd to see this happening to Benjamin Nelson. We've talked to him in the past. Michigan was a race that seemed like he was excited for. He thought he was going to be able to bring great speed, and not saying that he's not going to be able to do it tonight, because we don't know if maybe he's right now out there doing something different. But right now, not seeing the speed that we were expecting to see out of him. Just seemed like maybe the track changed on him. It rubbered up, and he's just not able to get the car gripped like he wants to.
Talked about how tonight's race, some drivers enjoy Michigan, others have seen that this track's just a little bit too difficult for their own taste, and already lost Tyler Dengler. Well, Ben Keeney, one driver that we've lost, and most recently Dakota Moniz, calling it a night for the 5 machine. Already 3 drivers out, 30 drivers out on track, and only 26 of those drivers are on the lead lap at this time. Starting to see little pods grouping up as this cluster of drivers from 12th back to 15th are on top of one another, and then as well the battling for the drivers up front starting to close in as the 2 that just can't get away, Brian P. Johnson, Brian McCann, continue to be attached. But the battle for 3rd, you have Bryson Hickson-Bob able to get by, and Douglas Newbigin within 2/10 of Ryan Kelly for the lead.
at 2/10. I know when we came back from commercial it was about 1.3, so he's gained a second plus passing cars. He's clearly got really good speed, especially here on the long run. I mean, we're getting close to pit stops going to be happening probably here in the next 7 to 10 laps to get into that window, that magic number you mentioned, 68. Some of these drivers might take it a little bit early, try and gain some of that track position and get spread out and try and keep that draft from letting the guys behind get closer to them. But right now, Brian McCann, Brian Johnson, right there behind last week's winner, Bryson Hixenbaugh.
Yeah, I mean, Bryson is able to finally make the pass. He's been very patient on watching the different duels between the 8 and number 28. They continue to go back and forth. Battle for the lead about to be underway as Douglas Newbiggie now less than 2/10 on Ryan Kelly. And, you know, seeing the battle for the lead, still, I think it's hard to even make a decision at this point because there's still 37 laps to go here tonight. Who could be the favorite to win? But our top 5, I could say anyone in our top 5 really still has a chance if they could just time out this final pit stop, and whoever has the best tires could be the biggest threat to watch out for. But I feel like if you are the likes of Brian B. Johnson, Brian McCann, you might have the pit sooner than later, but the first grouping of drivers that have to hit pit road, Ollie Fonseca, as well as Anthony Gaudio, they were the first to make their green flag pit stops all the way back on lap 32. Going to be in a spot where they might have to pit here in the next lap or two.
And then they're going to be having to go out there and try and save fuel in case they don't get to that magic window of 68, which we believe will be really safe if any driver does pit after 68. But as you mentioned, the top 5, feeling really confident about one of our winners coming from there, but I don't want to rule out 7th place Nick Crawford. I know he can go longer than these other drivers, which means he might be able to go in, get the tires a little bit later, and then have those tires at the end and make a hard charge. We know he's going to be good on fuel. We know he could definitely get past 72, 73. I'm expecting him to be one of our pit stops, one of our last drivers come into the pit stops. As we see right here, these drivers are still 2 by 2. Danny Cochran able to get around Cody Reed. Zach Hall making up positions also up to 12th now after being at 26th earlier in this race.
I felt like 67 might be the furthest you can go to feel comfortable, but on lap 66, Ollie Fonseca has hit pit road, not able to make it far enough as Danny Cochran, Cody Reed back and forth for 13th position. Zach Hall has already moved up to 12th, and the 2 as well as 79 fading backwards quickly for the both of them. But again, pit stops right around the corner. This is at the point where your tires are done and dusted if you haven't been protecting them. And Shane Terrian also trying to make a big move as, oh boy, what a save from last season's champion, 79 of Benjamin Nelson. Holds it together, but going to be giving up way too much time for his liking as they continue to try to march their way forward. Pit stop window has now opened up completely. We've lost Brad Delph, who's going to call it a night. But for the lead, it's still Ryan Kelly. For how long? That's going to be a good question. Who's going to make the first pit stop between these top 2? And will Bryson Hixenbaugh follow in suit as the 7 goes high and dry and almost get in the wall as Kelly hits pit road?
Kelly's going to be the first of our leaders to bring it in, coming to 68, so putting it right on that window. But Douglas Newbiggie driving around him right before that. Looked like he was getting ready to make the move on the outside regardless of the pit strategy on Ryan Kelly. So this is going to be a great finish here. These 2 drivers up front right now, when are they going to pit? We saw Brian McCann pit a little bit earlier and get the lead. He hasn't pitted yet, but our leader Ryan Kelly decides he doesn't want anyone undercutting him. Goes in, going to get his 4 tires, and he's going to come out most likely with the lead when this cycles through.
And with the timing of that pit stop, I mean, Douglas Newbiggie had to go a little bit higher than his liking because he's been running that inside groove. But pit stops, you're seeing the different attempts to hit pit road. Very aggressive with the 63, recognizing, hey, we got to close in this gap, help ourselves out under pit road. You can gain a lot of time, and you could throw away your race if you're not careful, as a majority of the field comes into pit road this go around. Zach Hall, Cody Reed, give them the lead now as Ollie Fonseca, fresh rubber, showing that difference in speed once again as Cody Reed, Shane Terrian, Zach Hall continue to stay out. They're banking on a yellow. Doesn't look like it's going to hit, but it's a nice lap if they'd like to pit, and it sounds like Cody Reed, lap 69's it. Pit road's calling for the 52.
52 going to come in. Now our question is going to be, when will our leader come in, Zach Hall? We've seen him start slowly, steadily making his way up through the field. Not going to pit this time, it looks. Oh, no, he's going to come in, Sam. Cody Reed going to come in with them. They're going to have to get down below 60 miles an hour, 55, get it back down. No speeding penalty. Great entrance on both drivers. They're going to hit pit road right now, get their fresh rubber. Don't want to give up any more time out there to the other leaders. As we see Cody Reed get in, lock up the front tire a little bit.
That is a very odd entry, but that angle is going to work for the 52. Hard on the brakes. That's going to be the big thing that's going to hurt him here. Yes, he's in his box, but he's got to really crank the wheel over to the right. Make sure he doesn't hit that pit wall. Starts cruising and able to stay off the wall. As Cody Reed gets rolling, but that could cost you time if you're not careful. Still out on track. Going to be your top three. Shane Terrian, Ryan Noel, Brandon Colley still need to hit pit road. The 9 machine enters pit road. The 77 and the 1. They will now be the duelists of who's going to lead this lap and give it to Brian Noel. That go around as the field continues to stay green. 30 laps to go here tonight.
Yeah, Brandon Colley, though, looking like he wants to lead the next lap. Had a nice run coming down there. See what he can do coming out of this turn. See if Brian Noel pits. That's another thing you got to keep an eye out for. If these drivers do call late pit entrance, you don't want to be on the bottom of them and risk running them over, because these drivers, they got to slow down so much. You're going 180 through these corners. Brandon Colley going to dive to the bottom, though. See if he can make a move here, get a lap led. Or is he going to pit? We're going to find out. It looks like he might be pitting, Sam.
Showing signs. Pit road maybe here for the 1, and it is into pit road for Colley. Noel stays out for another lap. Brian Noel, who stayed out one of the longest of anyone out there on track, still can go for about another lap or 2 before he needs to hit pit road. We have lost one driver, though, added to the pile. Danny Cochran in the 2 machine, who was looking at science to go for a top 15 here tonight. Instead, 29th position. Danny Cochran's called it evening. We'll wait on a report on exactly why Danny pulled it into pit road and called it an evening, but hate to see that for a driver that was looking for a decent run here tonight and was a driver outside of her top 16 in points. Needed a good day, and that real hill trying to make it in the playoffs is going to get a lot harder for Danny Cochran and a few others after tonight's race. Again, we got 4 more races before the playoffs, and those 4 races: Pocono Auto Club, Nashville Super Speedway, and Atlanta Super Speedway. Going to be some tough 4 racetracks that we're heading towards. So you need every little point now if you want to make the playoffs, get top 16. Make it there. If you have a win and you're inside of the top 25 in points, that win automatically grants you a position in the playoffs as well. So you want to make sure you're a little bit deeper in the points. And one driver that's hoping to grab as many points as possible, that's the 63 of Bryson Hicksonbaugh. And Bryson is now the 2nd driver in line of those that have come into pit road. That 63 is aiming to try to catch up to the 3, but the gap, 1.7 seconds is the difference currently.
27 laps to go. This is setting up to be like last week at Vegas. Is it going to come down to a last lap pass? What is going to happen? This is going to be a great finish. I think this is going to be very similar to last week, how we're going to have drivers running down other drivers, trying to get to that lead to 2nd position. But Sam, one thing we talk about, how do you make up time? Going through those pit stops, there was so much action going on, but you saw it live. Cody Reed getting into that box, a little awkward, having to leave a little gingerly. You saw he came in right behind Zach Hall, right on his bumper. We were on a live car camera. Leaving, though, there was about 12 car lengths between them. That was the difference. That's 1 second on the track. That's right there is how you make up time on pit road versus losing time.
Yeah, I mean, you can really gain or lose massively if you're not careful. As into pit road going to be Brian Noel, leaving us with the rest of the field as, into the wall. It's the 7 of Douglas Newbigging, and that's damage you cannot afford to grab. That little bit of scrape and then a secondary contact. That's going to hurt the 7. Runs in 4th place currently and was on the move, but that little bit of contact, how much is it going to hurt moving forward? We'll have to find out. 25 laps to go. This is going to be our last opportunity to pull it to a commercial break. It's been crazy. It's been hectic. Pit stops are done. When we come back, we will give you the final call of tonight's race at Legacy, Michigan, as it has been a good one here for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Race 4, well, here's your top 5 currently. It's Ryan Kelly, Bryson Hicksonbaugh, Nick Crawford, Douglas Newbigging, and Ryan McCann, your top 5. As we will step away for a quick moment, when we come back, we'll take it to the end. Who's winning race number 8?
Racing isn't easy. but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting, giving you the coverage of the WSSR Roast the Gems Cup Series. If you're just joining us, well, welcome to 20 to go. The field has been clean and green. We've only had 1 caution here tonight. That was all the way back at lap 4. But since then, we have ran a majority of this race clean and green, 100 laps in total, as we've already completed 81. The track, it's been heating up. So is the competition. 103 degrees is the track temp. Air temp is 76. It has been climbing on the track temp as the race has progressed. And currently it's been a good one as the field is getting prepared for the final push. Well, the drivers up front, we got 3 of them on top of one another. So let's quickly do a rundown of a thank yous before we get to the racing action. And that is a huge thank to our series sponsor of Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee, one of the best blends in premium coffees that you can find, from French vanilla to cinnamon and more high quality blends to be seen. Remember to go to roastedgemscoffee.com and go check out your coffee. Elevate your coffee experience with Roasted Gems. Use promo code WSSR for 5% off. And Trophy Smack. These drivers are putting on a show, and you might want to get a little bit of a capture shot of the show. Well, might as well go look out for the Trophy Smack Wall Smack. It's a metal plate that gives you a perfect image that you choose for yourself that you want to use, and you can display it on your wall with their wall safe magnet system, or you could display it on a stand before you can put it on desk, table, wherever you feel like you want to show off your wall smack. Go on, get it. Remember to use the promo code WSSR SMACK. That's WSSR SMACK for 10% off. Thank you so much to all the amazing sponsors we have. We're getting excited. We're getting jittery. I'm trying to get through the sponsors quickly. And Justin, the reason why, they are all on top of one another. These are your top 3 battling for the lead with just that is 17 laps to go.
We don't even need to tell you their 3 names because you can see them right on track. They're all together. Ryan Kelly, Bryson Hixenbaugh, Douglas Newbigin. We're going to tell you anyway. You could throw a blanket under them. They're all there running different lines. So like we mentioned, Douglas Newbigin's been that bottom feeder all race. If he's going to make the pass, Bryson Hixenbaugh gets a little loose. Douglas Newbigin follows suit. Ryan Kelly, though, continues to lead. How did Douglas Newbigin catch these two? He's one of those drivers, Sam, that is still hitting 200 at the end of the straightaways. Other guys only hitting 199 from what I've been watching here on the tracks. Just be able to carry that a little bit of extra speed before he gets into the corner. That's the product of him getting out of the corner. This is going to be a great finish.
It's a never give up mentality for the 7 here tonight. And Bryson Hixenbaugh trying to go 2 for 2. He won last week on his debut race for the 63 machine and trying to just continue to show he is a major threat to watch out for. The rookie has been great. It's been a pleasure to watch, but other drivers still trying to find themselves into victory lane. Ryan Kelly yet to get into victory lane yet this season, but has had some close opportunities. Got 2nd at Texas, got 3rd last week at Las Vegas. There is speed underneath the 3 machine, but there's also 3 other drivers that are trying to close in. That's going to be Brian McCann, Nick Crawford, and as well John Forbes, all trying to push forward as quickly as possible. And mixed and mingled in between, it's Brian P. Johnson, who's had some troubles under the last pit stop, but is trying to help this 3 group move forward as they're about 1.5 seconds off of 3rd place.
And Nick Crawford, I was watching him. He's been staying steady at the 2.5 second interval, but Brian McCann, he got around him. He got it under 2 seconds pretty fast. Brian McCann is a driver coming. If these top 3 start battling, it's going to be really interesting if we have 4 drivers up there and potentially 5 if Nick Crawford could do it. John Forbes falling a little bit back, but don't rule him out either if these drivers get battling. As we see now, Douglas get to the bottom. He's waiting. What I think Douglas wants to see, if he sees those 2 in front get side by side, can Douglas drive it to the bottom? Because these other drivers are not getting to the bottom. If those 2 are side by side battling, is he going to sneak by? We've seen him do it throughout this race.
Yeah, we talk about a shallow entry. That's what the 7 is doing. He is diving to the inside much more aggressively compared to the other 2 that are kind of taking a little bit of a sweeping corner, which is allowing them to keep the momentum that they want to have through that 2nd seam. But it is also enabling the 7 to have it wide open, opening to the inside group, but it's side by side. Ryan Kelly has to run the 3rd lane. Bryson Hixenbaugh runs the 2nd. They're going to be drag racing off the exit of turn 2. The 3 has been leading, but his tires might be giving out. It's a 1 lap difference, but at this far into a run, it doesn't matter what time came into pit road. It matters how you've been protecting that rubber, and it's the 7 of Newbigin inside lane, loving the defensive moves by the 3 because it gives the opening for the 7 to be right there for 2nd.
Douglas Newbigin's loving what he's seeing out his window, but the driver that might be liking it even more is Brian McCann. He's now got it down to 1.8. There's 12 laps to go. If these guys keep sliding these tires around up there, he's right now might be the one. It looks like he might saw some sparks. He might have been getting into that wall that we talked about, trying to run as high as he can to get the best entry into the corner, but still not giving up too much time. It dropped down to 1.9, but if these guys get side by side again, he could be right in the thick of things with Nick Crawford right in tow.
It is go time. 12 laps to go, soon to be 11. And Ryan Kelly utilizing every defensive move possible to hold back Bryson Hixenbaugh. And Bryson, again, the journey for the 63. He needs to win, needs to finish inside the top 3, because after last week's win, all that Bryson's thinking about is maximize those points. Get up front, get a great finish, and finish inside of our top 25 in points by the end of the regular season. And after tonight, just 4 more races to go. The 63, yes, he would love another win, but ultimately you cannot throw away a great finish that he's having right now.
You cannot throw away that finish. It's a great point to remind everyone about where he is in the points, being down in 42nd because of only entering one race last week. But he had that win. If he can go 2 for 2, that's going to be really good at getting him into the field for the championship run. But Douglas Newbegin wants to win this race too. But Brian McCann, 1.7, we talked about it. He's gaining 1/10 a lap. If he's able to get there and get to that draft, that's going to really start to gain him speed. Not quite there yet though. Nick Crawford, 2.7, starting to fade back, a 10th or 2 there. But under 10 to go, Sam, is anyone's race still up here? Ryan Kelly does have that 1 lap less tires, as you mentioned, but he's doing what he needs to. Bryson Hixenbaugh, though, right there.
Bryson Hixenbaugh just continues to work that second groove. The first groove has been all Douglas Newbegin, and Ryan Kelly has been swapping back and forth. He runs this second seam. Sometimes he'll run the third, but ultimately, whenever he sees that Bryson is closing in and close enough to maybe make an attack move, the 3 holds that line that the 63 has been enjoying. This go round goes down low, giving the draft assistance to the 7 and Newbegin, and then climbs back up to block the air into turn number 1. Great defensive notes that you could take here by the 3. A masterclass, you could say. 9 laps to go. And that gap that we were talking about from 3rd back to 4th, it has not changed. It stays. It looks like it's going to be the duel between these 3 drivers up front, coming up to 8 laps to go when they cross the line.
Ryan Kelly, exactly like you mentioned, showing our viewers, this is how you win a race. This is how you keep the 2 behind you side by side. He gives some draft to the 63, gives some draft to the 7, doing what he has to keep them side by side. That's making them burn their stuff up while he's able to keep this lead. Now coming under 8 to go. These laps are going to fly by here. They're 40 seconds a lap. It's going to be a quick finish here. These drivers are going to put on a finish. Brian McCann still trying to beat a 4th car to make it a 4-car finish, but not able to do it yet.
Ryan Kelly's one and only win in the WSSR was last season when he got the pole and won at Atlanta. Tonight, qualified all the way back in 11th place and trying to get himself into victory lane and lock himself with no worries about the playoffs and where he lies in the points. His 3 is 4th in points coming into tonight. 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and probably one of his best runs so far to go for a win. But Bryson Hixenbaugh, Douglas Newbegin, the swap, the 7 is now officially in the 2nd, and it's all about how you run down the 3. And is the positioning even set up for the 7 to have the tires to go for a pass here with 7 laps to go?
7 laps to go, car number 7, Douglas Newbegin trying to make these moves, get up there. You saw him get around. Now he's got to figure out what can he do to get to the leader. He got around 2nd place. Now he's got to be able to get a couple of tenths here. He did lose some time though. Ryan Kelly pulling away slightly, but Douglas Newbegin going to drive it back to the bottom. He's staying committed to running the lanes. He's been running all night. He gets that little bit of clean air down there. Now he's going to get that draft down this front straightaway off Ryan Kelly.
Douglas Newbegin trying everything possible to move forward and go for a win. This would be Douglas Newbegin's 3rd career win in the WSSR if he can get it done. His most recent win was all the way back at Auto Club, where he qualified 4th and got the win. His first was at Dover, and hoping that tonight maybe could be something special for the 7 after showing the woes and the speed at Las Vegas, and then deciding, okay, we had our mistakes, got penalized for the start of Las Vegas. Let's stay away from those penalties. Let's show the speed that the 7 has. And tonight he's been proving it. Even with mistakes, he's been recovering. And off the exit of turn number 4, coming to 5 laps to go, still in distance, still in shot, is going to be the 7 with a chance to go for a win, but it's 2 tenths. The gap continues to stay pretty close, and I'm looking at the lap times. That 4th place driver, Brian McCann, I think he might be just too far back. Hixenbaugh starting to lose touch. It looks to be now a 2-horse race for tonight.
Looks to be a 2-horse race, but if these drivers do make any kind of contact or get side by side and have any issue, it could be Bryson Hixenbaugh or Brian McCann getting into that position to take a win. But Douglas Newbegin gonna go back to the bottom. We saw in turn 1 and 2, he went slightly higher and through that corner, trying something different. But this time back to the bottom, able to carry the momentum coming out. He's right under there. He's gonna get the huge draft down here. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna go to the outside here? Looks like he's gonna peek up there. The 3 is gonna go up the block. Douglas Newbegin's going to have to fall right back in line. Now he's right in that dirty air. Is he able to get down there and get Ryan Kelly loose? He's right underneath him. Going to try and get him loose, getting out of the corner. Ryan Kelly able to do that master class though. Come out no problem. Ice in his veins. Nothing Douglas Newbegin can do in that corner. He's going to have to try now again, coming in turn 3.
Down to turn number 3 and Uppbeat still trying to fight, figure out which position and what corners of the track does it feel a lot more stronger to be down low compared to that second groove. I think he might have figured out where that strength is. The 7, though, gets back in line, recognizing, okay, the higher lane might be better through 1 and 2, tries to get to that outside quarter panel, couldn't do so. Instead, will run that higher lane, and Kelly, once again, just continues to block that entry that 7's looking for, and it's hurting the exit. Ryan Kelly, a much better 1 and 2 that go around compared to Douglas Uppbeat.
We're going to be coming up to 2 to go here. He's not going to have too many more chances left. What is he going to do? This time he's definitely going back to the bottom. I think that's been his comfort zone all night. But that outside line, he was getting some momentum. If he can come out here alongside, that's what he wants to do, is be able to side draft down the straightaway. But he's not going to be able to do it. He's going to have to use that draft. He's going to tuck in right behind him, try and get no air over his nose, nothing over that spoiler. Just keep it nice and clean, getting down through turn 1 to the bottom. Trying to do it again.
Bottom. I mean, right now, it is Douglas Uppbeat searching where is the speed, and Ryan Kelly kind of doing similar to what Douglas Uppbeat was doing earlier, picking a lane and sticking with it, while the 7, late in a run, the tires just are giving out right when it's crucial. It's allowed the 7 to be there at the line, but it doesn't look like the strength is there just yet. Needs a good exit to have an even opportunity as they come off of turn number 4. Looking for the white flag is Ryan Kelly, and the gap grows to almost 3/10. Ryan Kelly gets to see the Roasted Gems white flag in the air. This is it. The 3 looking for the win.
Last chance going into turn 1 for Douglas Uppbeat. Not able to do any kind of move coming out of this corner yet. He's going to have to get a run down the straightaway to be able to make an entry into turn 3. You see him just get a little loose. He's trying everything, but Ryan Kelly's going to continue to block him coming out of the corner as he goes into turn 3 for the final time here.
Ryan Kelly able to keep the gap for now, but Douglas Uppbeat throws it to that white line, trying to close in. He's within a couple of tenths, but it's not close enough. The exit at turn 4, the better momentum, the speed, the 3 finds himself crossing the line, and his first win of Season 8 goes to Ryan Kelly here tonight.
Ryan Kelly, first win. Douglas Uppbeat second. Bryson Hickson-Baugh third. Brian McCann fourth. And Nick Crawford rounding out our top 5. What a great race. 100 laps, 1 caution. Great strategy. Great win for Ryan Kelly.
I mean, Ryan Kelly, after last week, finished 3rd. Really showed that he had some great speed to watch out for. Douglas Uppbeat able to qualify this week compared to last week. Had to start the end of the line at Las Vegas. Still finished great. But, man, just proving we're starting to see the strength of this field, climbing even more, and another new winner here this season. Congratulations to Ryan Kelly, becoming our 7th different winner this season. The numbers thought they were going to line up perfectly for Douglas Uppbeat in the 7 to be our 7th winner. Not the case. Instead, it goes to the 3, as he'll enjoy this one, getting to burn it down up front on the start-finish line. What a win for Ryan Kelly, and what a start for some of the newcomer. Like we said, Bryson Hickson-Baugh thought for a moment he was going to go back-to-back for his first 2 starts here in the WSSR. Not the case, but a top 3 will line up perfectly for the 3. Congratulations to all the drivers here tonight, but Ryan Kelly gets the win as he burns it down in victory lane. We'll step aside when we come back. We'll talk to our top 3 and a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of the WSSR Roast to Gens Cup Series. Race number 8 is in the books, and Legacy Michigan certainly did give us a treat. Only one caution. One caution after 2 races is not bad. Well, the second half of the season has been a lot better than the first, and we're happy to be seeing WSSR is back to where they've been the most comfortable of some great, clean racing. And we saw the driver that won burning it down in victory lane. Well, let's go talk to the driver in victory lane, the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly. Ryan, we've talked to you in the podium spots a couple of times, but man, you're back into victory lane. Man, how are you feeling after tonight's race? Because it looked like it was going to be a grueler, and you had to hold off everyone in the field.
Oh man, I'm sweating. Let me tell you, there's some good fast guys behind me. I was just driving quick, hoping to hold them off, and I think that pitting 1 lap earlier there on the last pit stop really helped. Gave me about 3 seconds to just control the race from the last 30 laps.
Hey Ryan, congratulations on that win. I know we talked to you last week and we did mention pit strategy, and tonight you used that strategy of going in 1 lap early. So using that strategy, you had that lead. Were you able to get out there and save tires a little bit? Was that your mindset when you knew you had that lead until they got you? This way you were able to fend them off?
Yeah, I tried saving in the beginning portion of that run, but they were coming so quick. I couldn't really save. I mean, I couldn't really save as much as I wanted to, but thankfully I saved enough to hold them off there. Bryson and Doug are super quick, so just thankful that I was able to hold them off.
I mean, a great race for yourself, Ryan, here tonight. We're now going to be setting our sights towards Pocono, our next destination, before Auto Club. How are you feeling about these next 2 races? Because Pocono, very different, just 3 corners, and then going to the sister track of Michigan to Auto Club.
Yeah, it should be interesting. It seems these bigger tracks here have a better flow for the race with the league and a little bit less caution. So it seems like we can use the strategy a lot more on these bigger tracks, and hopefully these next 2 weeks will be just as interesting as tonight.
We hope so as well. Well, congratulations, Ryan, on your win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yep, just my teammates for this race, and thanks to all the sponsors to the league and you guys for putting on the show. And I got some family watching, so this win's for them.
That is going to be your victor here tonight. The 3 machine of Ryan Kelly winning at Legacy, Michigan. Congratulations, Ryan, and enjoy this one, and good luck next week.
Oh yeah, thanks guys.
As we move from the victory winner of Ryan Kelly, let's go down to second place to talk to the 7 of Douglas Newbigging. Douglas, it's Sam and Justin up in the booth. Man, it is a crazy race here tonight. You had a crazy race last week at Las Vegas, proving you've got the speed. How are you feeling after tonight's performance against second?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I don't know. I need a little more there. If I didn't slide through my pit box, that might have helped me. I don't know. I feel great, honestly. I mean, I came here. I told you last week, I was gonna finish up here, either win it or like finish top 3, and prove myself there. So, good points on me. But yeah, I mean, just such a fun race, such a good track. Even though it's Legacy, Michigan, I don't run here often, but kind of translates to Michigan with the bottom side. So it took me about practice and a half of the first run to really lock in the bottom. But once I got it locked in, I mean, it was just lights out from there. So fun race.
Douglas, just up here in the booth, congratulations on second place. You really put on a great show. Just 2 quick questions. It looked like you got up into the wall maybe with like 15 to go. Did that maybe have any impact on you? And how come you didn't think other drivers were down there running exactly where you were? It seemed like you were the only one really making that work.
Well, all right. So the first question, yeah, I mean, I don't think I got any damage from it, luckily. Like, I might have been like a 100th or 2 here or there, but I don't think it would have mattered really long run, so to say. I think it was just kind of like one of those paint scrape things. And then the second one, I mean, it's a very fine line to run here, that bottom, right? There's so many bumps, the throttle movement got to be precise, your wheel movement's got to be precise, and it's all about not sliding the tires. And it's like all these different factors where it's like, if you don't start doing it like lap 1, or like within the first 5 laps, if you go down in there and do it, you're not gonna be able to hit it. So like when I go around people like on like let's say like lap 15 in a run, and if they try to copy what I'm doing on the bottom, they just can't because their tires are just so overheated or they're worn in, to run the middle line. They go down there, they get in the middle of the corner, they're going to exit, and they slide up or they just get loose and spin out. So it's kind of like a trademark almost I get, which I love at this track, because it's like no one could copy my line because no one knows how to run it, because they just can't run it because they just don't know how to start it. and then it just keeps compiling on, I guess, in that sense. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it was
it's nice.
awesome to watch how you were running that lane there throughout the race. So we also saw your major slide early on that you were able to recover from. That was incredible to see. But Douglas, I mean, you were so close to getting this win. You showed your speed last week. How much confidence does this help you build for the rest of the season as we're so close to the playoffs here, just four more races before we get to the playoffs?
I mean, of course, I want to win. I mean, I think that's the goal of any time. I mean, the last 2 races, caution free, I've gotten really close both those times, or not caution free this one, but close enough to be caution free. Let's be honest, right? But yeah, I mean, a ton of good races so far. Just like you said, just building up confidence. Definitely feel like at the playoffs, I got a good shot this year. I don't actually remember the tracks. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I feel like they're good. I got a feeling in my heart that they're good. So if I got a feeling, I think it's good. I'm just hoping that setups aren't as tight. That's kind of like my biggest downfall and why I have to run these stupid lines is because I just don't like running tight setups. So I just find every single thing at the track that could help me to make it looser. And there's some crazy stuff I do in lines and bumps I hit that no one else would ever think of hitting or be like, oh, that's stupid. And then, I come out here and do that. So.
Oh, we love the unique style that you bring, Douglas. It certainly is a joy to watch from up here in the booth and for the audience watching at home. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Yeah, man, of course. We got coastal tinting. Look at this beautiful paint scheme all over here. This nice blue and green, a little bit of like light blue. Yeah, light blue there. Coastal tinting. Put it on your windows. Car windows. Get it tinted up, blocks the sun. Winter is kind of bad this sun because it's like nice and low. It's like, oh, you're driving. Oh, at 8 in the morning. Oh, guess what? You're getting blinded. Yeah, get the tint. Come on. We got Roasted Gems coffee. Code Lucky Ducks. You get 15% off. Order one word. Lucky Ducks as well. Great team. Everyone on the team's awesome. Ed, Brian, Cedric, all those guys. Great people. Love them. Shady Designs. Great paint scheme. Look at this paint scheme. It's beautiful. No one else in the field has it. All right, because it's just that beautiful. No one tops it. No Kid Hungry charity. Great charity. They're doing it for good cause. WSSR, you guys in the booth, Freaky Fast Broadcast. You guys are great to watch. Great talking to y'all. Great announcers, broadcasters. You guys are great. Love you guys. And shout out to I don't know. Yeah.
And the list sometimes is too great to remember all of them. But still, Douglas, it was a great performance here this evening. We know that win is around the corner, and good luck next week at Pocono.
Oh my God! Hang on, whoa, hang on. That's like my home track, so I get extra 10 horsepower there. So we're winning that one. Don't worry, I'll be back.
Yeah, we're excited for it, Douglas. Good luck.
Thank you. See you around, guys.
See ya. As that's going to be your second place finisher of Douglas Newbigging. Had some great saves and comes away in second, but third, it's been the shining star. Won his debut race last week. Thought maybe go 2 for 2, but will come away third. Still a great run for the 63. We got Bryson Hicksonbaugh with us. Bryson, another great run. This green machine so easy to spot. Man, how are you feeling after tonight? You had a chance there, coming to the end for a chance to win it, but comes away third. What was going through your mind there late, and how are you feeling after tonight's performance?
Yeah, my Turtle Juice Camry is real fast out there, and I thought I had another shot at it tonight. Didn't quite have it. I think I made a little bit of a mistake on the strategy. I should have been pitting with everybody else, but I didn't want to be on that big group on that first pit stop when there was like 10 of us right on top of each other pitting at once. I wanted to be out of that mess just in case anything happened, but it kind of put me behind the 8 ball there. Thought I could still run down the leader, but didn't quite have the tires that Douglas had, that he passed me and he had a shot at it, but neither one of us could get Ryan, and Ryan ran a great race out there.
Bryson, 2 races, 2 top 3s. Congratulations. What do you think you have to do to get into this top 16? Is it on your mind while you're out there, knowing that you don't want to risk making a mistake on strategy to lose any points because of how valuable these points are going to be to get you in the top 16?
Yeah, I think it's really just going to be about not making any big mistakes out there. If I have a really bad day and I end up wrecked or something and finish 25th, that could be completely detrimental to my season. So I need to go out there, be a little bit more conservative if I want to make the playoffs, and see where it goes.
Well, Bryson, we're excited to see what other strengths you have out there on track. Proved it once again. You're great at the 2-mile courses. We're heading to the tricky triangle of Pocono next week, and then the sister track of tonight, Auto Club, after that. How are you feeling about these next 2 racetracks?
I don't feel that great about Pocono. I've never really liked it personally, but I'll see what I can do there. Auto Club, I feel much better about. I definitely feel like I understand that track a lot better, and should be a fun one.
Excited to see how you're going to perform there, Bryson. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Well, I'd just like to shout out all the other drivers in this league here. I've come in, run 2 races, and we've had 1 caution and 400 miles. It's been quite incredible to see.
Hey, maybe you're the lucky charm that we all needed for it, Bryson. Congratulations on 3rd, and we'll see how you perform next week at Pocono.
Thank you, guys.
That's going to be the 63 of Bryson Hicksenbach coming away with a top 3 finish for himself. We'll now fall down to 9th place, where we find ourselves with the 32 machine of Zach Hall. Zach, Sam and Justin up in the booth. You come away 9th, but we were scratching our head on qualifying and the strategy calls. How are you feeling after coming away with a top 10 finish after the very much down-up race you had?
Yeah, happy with the finish, but definitely could have got more tonight. That was unfortunate. Missed qualifying real bad. Just simple mistake. It's all it takes in this field with how good everybody is a simple mistake. Didn't get it done on the first lap, and I felt like the second was going to be the faster one in qualifying, so felt good about it, and then got a little loose out of 4. And when you get loose out of 4, it just kind of kills all the momentum. And from there, it was kind of put myself in a deep hole. And when we had that early, we didn't get that caution because fuel was going to be very tight, I'd say, and interesting. So I was kind of not too worried about the qualifying effort. And then when we got that caution, I noticed, I was like, well, maybe we'll just come in top off and just see if we can get a different strategy going for a little bit longer in a run on this first one, since we'll have a few caution laps added in. And that seemed to work. I mean, I started 26 on that run and got up to 9th here after all the laps. So we had speed, but not everything we could have got out of tonight for sure. Definitely wishing that qualifying went better.
Zach, we were up here watching you. Congratulations on getting into the top 10 after the qualifying effort. A couple times when we were watching you, you got a little loose coming out of the corners, and it looked like maybe the track was really giving problems to all these drivers out there. But what were you doing different in the car just able to keep it going? Just walk us through some of those laps out there.
It is so easy to get sideways. I'm sure y'all just got to see me a few times sideways, and I feel like I was actually on the better side of most people when it came to sliding around tonight. And that's really the key with this car, is not to do that. And it's so easy just to get a little bit greedy in the center of the corner. Like when we get back to the throttle, we can get back almost full way down and get it matted, but if you're doing that, you're just going to end up really hurting your tires at the end of the day. So really, I was just self-conscious and just trying to hold a constant throttle about 75-80% through the center and exit off, and then really just wait until right on the straightaway to get back full throttle. And that really seemed to help me as the run went on. I seemed to be able to get really good runs on people and carry that momentum down the straightaway with the traction. So yeah, that seemed to work for the passing. So again, happy with 9th. It's just could have been a little bit more tonight. I think top 5 was not outside the question if we qualified better.
Zach, as a past regular season champion, this season it seems like regular season championship can be a little bit more important. Brian B. Johnson, who was our regular season points leader before tonight, really fell off. Everyone else seemed to elevate themselves. What is the mentality going into these last 4 races of the regular season, trying to go for that regular season championship?
Huge right now, especially for me myself. Got the 2 poles. That's the playoff point each. Got the win at Watkins Glen. Got a fast slap there, so we're building playoff points, and that's what you want by finishing in these regular seasons. So I think after it all shook out tonight, I ended up 2nd, and I mean that's interesting to see because second. Yeah, I stayed exactly where I was, but Ryan Kelly, with his great run tonight, really jumped forward, and it shows you it's going to be, I think, all the way down to the end with the top 5 guys in points. I mean, you got guys like Ben who are outside of it. I mean, the defending champion who's just outside the top 5. Doug is in 7th right there. He's been having great runs, and you never know. Those 2 could come up and get right in the mix for it. And, those points that are going to be divvied out to those top 5 are just going to be super important. So definitely have that in the back of my mind when we go through these next few weeks to close out the regular season.
we're excited to see how you're going to perform, and as well the rest of the regular season drivers, how they're going to be slotted once playoffs begin in 5 weeks. But before we let you go, Zach, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to all the drivers. Amazing job. Turning around after 2 weeks with 1 caution, I think, in 400 miles now. So good job to everybody. I mean, the tracks definitely suit that. I think Pocono next week will suit that too. So we'll maybe continue a little bit of that trend of some clean and green racing. But it's definitely good to see. So congrats to all the drivers for their excellent driving these last 2 weeks. Thank you to you guys up in the booth for all the work y'all do week in and week out to bring the product to the folks out there. And also shout out to our wonderful sponsors at Roasted Gems Coffee. We share on the roastedgems.com. And also you can go check out Trophy Smack at trophysmack.com. And those are 2 amazing sponsors that really help support our league and make it be what it is today. So thank you to them and everybody tuning in, and all my friends and family also tune in. Anybody who's out there watching for me this race, I really appreciate that. And hopefully we'll go get them next week.
Well, that will be the 32 machine of Zach Hall coming away with a 9th place finish. Congratulations on a top 10 finish, Zach, and good luck next week at Pocono.
Thank you, guys.
Well, as we get done with our interviews, we get prepared for to see the unofficial results here tonight. Certainly a wild one from top to bottom. Only 1 caution tonight, and that was only back on lap 4 after a little bit of a mishap of drivers running into one another. Total of 27 drivers were able to complete all the way through, but taking the win, it's the 3 of Ryan Kelly, Douglas Newbigin 2nd, Bryson Hicksonbaugh top 3, Ryan McCann able to move up to 4th with Nick Crawford. His different strategy calls able to stay in the top 10. What a run for himself getting 5th. John Forbes in 6th, Larry Yingling 7th, Johnny Brugg in 8th. 9th goes to Zach Hall, and Shane Terrian finishing out our top 10 here tonight.
Yeah, 11th, Cedric Hunter. 12th, Isaiah Sutherland. We see Brandon Colley down there in 14th, able to get through tonight's race with no incidents, which is great for him. And then Cameron Sarton, we talked about him a little bit earlier in the broadcast, but just not able to get any better than 19th. He's kind of running around that 19th, 20th position throughout the night. Ollie Fonseca, 21st. He was on that early pit cycle. 23rd, Ken Campbell. And then going through the rest of the field, Brian Johnson, he had that penalty up there leading the race throughout in the beginning, and then just unfortunately going to end up in 24th position. James Corner down there in 28th. Danny Cochran, who we know we had some issues and was able to get out of the track, going to be back in 29th, and then 33rd, Tyler Degner.
And Tyler was not able to get the run that he was hoping for. I know he had a lot of high hopes coming into tonight's race. Was not the key here this evening. Do want to do our last shout outs to our amazing sponsors. Again, we heard it from the drivers, but again, a huge thank you to Colley's Mom for being our qualifying sponsor, and as well the title sponsor, Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee likes to elevate your coffee experience, so go on over to roastedgemscoffee.com and use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. Many different high quality blends for your own likings, so try them out. Great coffee to have to start your morning off right. And Trophy Smack. Go on over to trophysmack.com. Check out their wide selection of championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. That more being wall smacks and plenty of other items. What's great about Trophy Smack is if you're looking for a trophy, they've got pre-made, or you can customize for your own specialties. So if you're trying to give a trophy for someone, maybe fantasy football, someone was the biggest loser, hey, they've got trophies for you. And if you're a big winner, such as your WSSR last season, it was the champion itself that went to Benjamin Nelson. And for past seasons, it was a championship custom ring the drivers were going for. This season, it's a championship trophy that drivers are aiming for. We'll see who can grab it for season 8. Remember to use the promo code WSSR SMACK for 10% off. Here's your upcoming schedule for the series that we have covered. ISRC Truck Series, Monday nights, they will be back in February, just a few weeks away, and I know the drivers, they are excited to be back for another season. On Tuesdays and Sundays, we are looking to see if you're wanting to be booked and have Freaky Fast Broadcasting covering your series. Message us on all your socials, on X, Twitter, or Facebook. Wednesday nights already covered, as you can see here, WSSR. It's been a pleasure to give you the season. 8 races down, 4 more to go for the playoffs. Then Thursday nights, And tomorrow it's exciting. It's the start of a brand new partnership here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, working with Doghouse Racing Leagues, as their Cup Series is just about to begin. They're going to have the Clash tomorrow night, where you're going to have myself and Zach Hall giving you the coverage, where we're going to be seeing the Cup cars testing out Nashville Fairgrounds. It's going to be a fun race to be seen. How will the Clash go down? You're going to have to wait and see. But for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us, Justin. Another race in the books, and a race that almost went clean and green. Just one caution over 400 miles, and it's Ryan Kelly being her 7th different winner. What a run, and what a, I cannot wait to see what next week is going to bring.
Next week's going to be great at the Tricky Triangle. 3 distinct different turns. These drivers next week are going to be at a big track that's so big that when you pit, you might not lose a lap if you're up in the top 5 positions. So we could see definitely some strategy of guys taking advantage to go in, get tires early, and not have any risk of losing a lap on track. It's going to be really fun next week.
Excited to see how the drivers are going to come together for next week's race. But for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Justin Malarkey, and Robert Moyer Jr., running productions in the background, and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you so much for joining with us on your Wednesday evening. Congratulations to Ryan Kelly in the 3, getting his first win of the season, 2nd career WSSR Cup Series win. Can't wait for tomorrow night. Going to be a good one as well. Don't want to miss out. It's going to be the first race of Thursday night right before the season begins. The Doghouse Racing League Cup Series heads to the Nashville Fairgrounds for the Clash. Don't want to miss it. It's going to be our next Freaky Fast broadcast. Have a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow night.